Boundaries are not some fancy schmancy skill of saying no in a variety of ways that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. It's not 50 shades of no, okay? If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Faye Wyatt. I am a relationship coach and cuddle therapist, and I'm here to help you be your best self in relationships. And guess what? You can't be your best unless you've got boundaries. I know that because I used to have zero boundaries and then magically decided to become a professional cuddler. Guess what? I learned really quickly that I had to figure it out or quit because my job as a professional cuddler is literally to invite strangers into my home to touch my body while staying open-hearted, emotionally available, warm, open, and loving towards them. Can't do that without boundaries. So that's how I accidentally became a boundaries expert. So what exactly are boundaries? Boundaries are the tool that keeps out what we don't want or what would harm us and holds in and invites in more of what we do so that we can maintain a feeling of safety, well-being, autonomy, and sovereignty. Without boundaries, we don't actually have the ability to choose. So a lot of people think of boundaries as a communication skill. I actually think of it as the ultimate skill of choice. So here are some things that you could choose if you had boundaries. You could turn down that invitation to go to that party when you actually need a night to yourself where you didn't really want to be there anyway. You can set up your schedule in such a way that you get enough sleep and enough time for your hobbies. You can negotiate a raise because you want to actually get paid what you are valued at. You can also stop whatever is happening in bed that you don't like so that you can get more of what you do like. You can also disconnect from relationships that are kind of draining your energy or that don't have that same mutuality in it. Without boundaries, none of those things would actually be options. So at the end of the day, boundaries really are an agreement with ourselves that we are going to advocate for ourselves and allow ourselves to have the choice to have more of what we want. It's kind of like a filter that kicks out things you don't and invites things that you do. So here are 5 things that boundaries are not. Number 1, boundaries are not some fancy schmancy skill of saying no in a variety of ways that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. It's not 50 shades of no, okay? Because there's so much more that goes into boundaries than just turning things down. If you're doing that, that's just one half of it. The whole other half is proactively building structures to maintain your life. It's getting to know yourself. It's getting the courage to ask for what you want. There's so much more to boundaries than just saying no to people. Number 2, boundaries are not the same as walls. Walls keep you safe by keeping everything out, including the things that you do want. So you notice that this doesn't really work for the intention of boundaries in the first place. If you are noticing that you're constantly icing people and Xing them out of your life, you're actually at a good start because you're learning how to say no. But if you continue to do that, you're going to miss out on the thing that boundaries are actually about, which is to create more connection and more intimacy. Number 3, boundaries are not these impenetrable barriers that keep all of the hurt out so we will never be disappointed or have our boundaries crossed ever again. I hate to break this to you, but even the most badass boundaried person is going to still have to learn to navigate disappointment and boundary crossings. The difference, however, is that when we have boundaries, what we will do is to never abandon ourselves no matter what happens because we're continuing to advocate and listen to our needs. And in that case, we will have 95% of the time feeling like we're at choice and in control, that the 5% no longer feels so severe or traumatizing. And that way we are able to deal with those moments of disappointment and hurt with a lot more grace and ease. Number 4, boundaries are not an excuse to be rude or unkind. It's very easy when somebody else's actions is triggering for us to blame them for how we feel and then to take it out on them. Healthy boundaries are actually way more owned. We can feel angry, actually. That's very important. I'm not saying don't bring your anger. For a lot of people, feeling anger, expressing anger, actually being rageful is a huge part of having powerful boundaries that are actually effective. But that is very different than letting another person have everything that we feel that is yucky. Healthy boundaries are actually a lot more compassionate and starting mostly with compassion for ourselves. You don't always have to be compassionate when setting boundaries with other people, but the motivation is not to hurt or punish, that's not boundaries. That's just being punishing. Boundaries are all about the care that we have for ourselves and starts with that feeling of compassion. Number 5, boundaries are not a tool of controlling the whole world and how people behave around you. It's very tempting, but at the end of the day, boundaries are just still a form of requests. All we can do with boundaries is to discover what our needs are, advocate for them, state what they are, and ask that the people around us meet them. And some people will be able to, and other people will not, either because they're too wrapped up in their own thing to even notice that you have needs or even really hear your requests, or they might just not be conscious or capable of making that choice because they're just sort of a little out of control in their own lives, or because they have values that are actually opposite of yours and would be out of integrity for them to offer you this thing that you are asking for. So all you can do is to offer them the choice, see what they say, see what they do, and then you make the choice in your own realm to either stay in the relationship and make adjustments, or leave or distance. Those are your choices. Back to that thing. Boundaries at the end of the day are not a tool of control. They're a tool for choosing. You get to choose the kind of life that you want. So we've talked a lot about boundaries today, and you're probably wondering, how do I get started in having healthier and healthier boundaries? I've got a few tips for you. One, you could start by pausing more often anytime you hear a request or an offer or any kind of question that somebody asks. Because a lot of the times our automatic answer, if our people-pleasing tendencies are up, is going to be yes. That pause gives you enough time to just really check to see what your real answer is and give time for that. Number 2, you could also just get in the habit of asking for more time as you gather up the courage to make your decision. So you can just simply say, hey, can I get back to you on that one? I want to get really clear in myself before I give you an answer. Easy, right? And then my favorite thing, if you come back and you're kind of a maybe, start saying no. Start saying no unless you are a hell yes. Every time you do that, you build this muscle up of being able to get that filter just fine-tuned just right so that you start saying no to more and more things that just don't fit. And you can say yes to the ones that really, really do. All right, I hope you learned something from this video. If you liked it, if you got something interesting or valuable from it, give it a like. It really helps get this out there. Share it with everyone that you feel could use boundaries in your life. And let me know, what is it that you've been doing that hasn't quite been healthy boundaries, and what are the things that you are now doing that are? I really want to know what's happening in your boundaries journey. Okay, I hope that you stick around. In the next video, I'm going to share with you the 3 different types of boundaries that there are so that you can start practicing them in your life. We'll see you at the next one. If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Faye, and I've got a dog gadget who likes to walk around during videos.